Okay, so here's a weird one. A bunch of people over 50 have started eating a spoonful of peanut butter right before they go to sleep. Not as a treat, not because they're hungry. On purpose, every single night, like it's medicine. And when I first heard about this, I'll be honest, I thought it was one of those internet trends that sounds made up. Peanut butter? Before bed? That felt backwards. Isn't eating before bed supposed to be bad for you? But then I actually looked into what's going on in your body while you sleep, especially after 50. And I get it now. It's not a gimmick. There's a real reason this is catching on, and it comes down to something almost nobody talks about: what happens inside your body between midnight and 6 a.m. Isn't nothing. It's some of the most important work your body does all day. Muscle repair happens then. Blood sugar gets regulated then. Your brain does its cleanup then. And whatever you ate right before you closed your eyes either helps that process along or gets in its way. So stick with me here, because I want to walk you through exactly what's supposedly happening when someone eats peanut butter before bed. The blood sugar angle, the sleep hormone angle, the muscle angle, the hunger angle, all of it. I'll also tell you who probably shouldn't be doing this, and exactly how much to eat if you decide to try it. By the end, you'll be able to make up your own mind, instead of just taking some YouTuber's word for it. Let's get into it. Your body doesn't just turn off when you fall asleep. Here's the first thing people get wrong. They think sleep is basically a power down mode. Lights off, brain off, nothing happening until the alarm goes off. That's not even close to true. While you're lying there unconscious, your body is doing serious maintenance work. Think of it less like a phone turning off and more like a factory switching to the night shift. The lights are lower, but the work never stops. A few things are happening simultaneously while you sleep. Your muscles are going through small repair cycles. Tiny bits of wear and tear from the day get patched up, fiber by fiber. Your brain is flushing out waste, basically taking out the trash it accumulated while you were awake and thinking all day. Your heart rate slows down and your blood pressure eases off, giving your cardiovascular system a break. And your hormones get reset, so you're ready to function again in the morning. This isn't some fringe wellness theory, it's just basic biology. And it happens every night, whether you help it along or not. Now here's the part that matters if you're over 50. This whole nightly repair system starts to slow down as you age. Growth hormone production drops off during sleep. Muscle recovery gets less efficient. And blood sugar, this is the big one, becomes way less stable overnight than it was when you were 30 or 40. What does that actually look like day to day? You wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. For no obvious reason. You feel stiff and heavy in the morning, even after a full night in bed. Your energy feels off before you've even had coffee. Any of that sound familiar? Plenty of research on aging and sleep points to older adults experiencing more overnight blood sugar swings than younger people. And those swings tend to pull people out of deep sleep. Most folks never connect the dots. They just chalk it up to getting older and accept it as their new normal. But it doesn't have to be your new normal. What you eat in that window right before bed, say the 30 to 60 minutes before you lie down, can genuinely influence how well all of this nighttime repair work goes. The right snack gives your body raw materials to work with. The wrong one leaves your system scrambling. And that's usually when sleep falls apart. So the real question isn't, is peanut butter okay before bed? The real question is, what does your body actually need overnight to do its job well? Once you understand that, the peanut butter thing stops sounding random and starts making a lot more sense. If you've made it this far, you clearly care about actually understanding your health instead of just guessing. So that already puts you ahead of most people scrolling past this stuff. Stick around, because next I'm breaking down exactly what peanut butter allegedly does to your blood sugar overnight, and why that one factor might matter more than anything else on this list. Quick ask before we keep going: if this is useful so far, drop a like, leave a comment telling me if you've ever tried a bedtime snack like this, and subscribe if you want more of this stuff. Okay, back to it. The blood sugar angle. Why this actually matters. Let's start with blood sugar, because honestly, this is the foundation everything else builds on. When most people hear blood sugar, their brain jumps straight to diabetes. Medication, someone else's problem, not theirs. But here's the thing. Blood sugar stability affects basically every adult over 50, whether or not you've ever been diagnosed with anything. It's just part of how your metabolism shifts with age. Picture a typical night with zero evening snack. Dinner wraps up around 6 or 7 p.m. By the time you actually get into bed, that meal was 4 or 5 hours ago. Your body's been slowly burning through the glucose from dinner this whole time, and by midnight, your blood sugar has dropped noticeably. When it drops too far, your body panics a little. It releases stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, to yank stored sugar back into your bloodstream. And those stress hormones are what wake you up. Not with a jolt necessarily, nothing dramatic, just enough to knock you out of deep sleep, just enough to leave you restless, just enough that you're wiped out in the morning even though you technically got 8 hours in bed. Sound familiar at all? This is where peanut butter comes into the picture. Peanut butter sits low on the glycemic index, meaning it doesn't spike your blood sugar and then crash it. It releases energy slowly, steadily, over several hours. It's got a mix of protein, healthy fat, and a small amount of complex carbs. And that combo is basically exactly what your body wants to keep blood sugar level through the night. Some research on low glycemic bedtime snacks suggests this kind of steady release can meaningfully cut down on overnight glucose swings, particularly for people past 50. Think of it like tossing a slow-burning log on the fire before you head to bed. It doesn't flare up, and it doesn't die out fast either. It just holds a steady, low burn all night. That's basically the role peanut butter plays with your blood sugar. And when blood sugar stays level, your stress hormones stay calm, your body stays focused on repair instead of damage control, and your sleep stays deeper for longer. Still tracking? Good, because what I'm about to cover next ties directly into how easily you actually fall asleep in the first place. Not just how well you stay asleep once you're there. Sleep quality versus sleep duration, they're not the same thing. Here's something most people completely miss. You can spend a full 8 hours in bed and still get garbage sleep. The reason usually comes down to what your brain actually has to work with chemically at night. Melatonin is the hormone that makes you feel drowsy as it gets dark, and your brain starts churning it out as the sun goes down. But melatonin doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It needs raw ingredients to get made. Specifically, your body needs an amino acid called tryptophan to start the chain reaction. Tryptophan gets converted into serotonin first, your calm, feel-good brain chemical. And then serotonin gets converted into melatonin. It's a multi-step process, and if that chain breaks down anywhere along the way, your sleep takes the hit. Peanuts happen to contain tryptophan. Not a massive amount, but a meaningful one. And here's what makes peanut butter specifically useful for this. The healthy fat in it appears to help tryptophan cross into the brain more efficiently. In plain English, the fat may help usher the sleep chemical building block into your brain faster and more effectively than it would get there on its own. Some research on evening fat intake and brain tryptophan levels points in this direction, especially in older adults. So you're not just having a snack before bed. You're potentially handing your brain the raw materials it needs to make its own sleep hormone. That's not some minor detail. That's a genuinely useful mechanism, if it holds up the way it's described. Here's something worth sitting with for a second. How many nights have you laid there staring at the ceiling, frustrated, wondering why falling asleep doesn't come easy anymore the way it used to? What if part of that answer has been sitting in your kitchen cupboard the whole time? Keep going, because we've still got a lot to cover. Quick pause. If you're finding this useful, hit like, drop a comment with any questions you've got, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming later in the video. Alright, moving on. Waking up hungry at 2 a.m. Here's what's actually going on. Let's talk about something a lot of people over 50 deal with, but rarely bring up out loud. Waking up hungry in the middle of the night, or lying there, unable to fall asleep, because your stomach is quietly growling at you. Not loud, dramatic hunger, just enough to be annoying and distracting. This isn't a willpower issue. This isn't overeating catching up with you. This is just biology doing its thing as you age. Your hunger hormones shift as you get older. Ghrelin, the hormone that tells your brain you need food now, tends to get more sensitive with age. Meanwhile, leptin, the hormone that tells your brain, okay, you're satisfied, you can stop, tends to get less effective. This is a fairly well-documented shift that happens with aging. When those two hormones are out of sync at night, sleep gets choppy. You wake up. You can't settle back down comfortably. And by morning, you're exhausted and, ironically, often hungrier than you'd expect. So where does peanut butter fit into this? Two mechanisms, basically. First, protein tends to blunt ghrelin. There's research on protein-rich bedtime snacks suggesting a small dose before bed can meaningfully reduce those overnight hunger hormone spikes, keeping that feed me signal quieter through the night. Second, the fat in peanut butter slows down gastric emptying, meaning your stomach empties more slowly than it would after a low-fat snack. So that satisfied feeling sticks around longer. You're not stuffed. You're not weighed down. You're just comfortably full, and comfortable tends to mean better sleep. One important note here, and I want to be really clear about this. We're not talking about a big snack. We're talking about a small, deliberate amount. I'll give you exact numbers a bit later, so stick around for that. Muscle repair doesn't happen at the gym. It happens in bed. This next part matters even more if you do any kind of physical activity, even something as light as walking regularly. Here's what most people don't realize. Your muscles don't actually grow or repair themselves while you're exercising. That repair work happens later, while you're asleep. Every step, every set of stairs, every bag of groceries you carry, all of it creates tiny amounts of stress and microdamage in your muscle fibers. That's completely normal and actually healthy. But the repair itself mostly happens overnight, during deep sleep, when your body ramps up growth hormone and gets to work rebuilding. The catch is that after 50, this repair process gets less efficient. There's a term for it. Scientists call it anabolic resistance. Basically, your muscles don't respond to protein as strongly as they used to. You need more protein, delivered more strategically, to get the same repair benefit you used to get automatically. This is exactly where a small amount of protein before bed becomes genuinely useful. Some research on nighttime protein intake in older adults has found that eating protein before sleep can meaningfully boost overnight muscle repair, meaning your muscles rebuild more effectively while you're out cold. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has roughly 7 to 8 grams of protein in it. That's not a massive dose on its own, but at night, when your body is running its repair cycle and needs a steady trickle of amino acids to work with, even a modest amount like this can make a measurable difference. Think of it like setting the right tools out on the workbench before the night shift clocks in. If you're someone who deals with that stiff, creaky, heavy feeling first thing when you get out of bed, this might be one of the more relevant things you hear today. Your body genuinely wants to repair itself overnight. It just needs decent raw materials to actually do that job well. All right, second reminder, like this if it's been useful, comment and tell me if you deal with morning stiffness, and subscribe if you want the rest of this. Let's keep going. Why mornings feel so groggy? Let's talk about mornings specifically. That groggy, foggy. Where am I feeling that so many people over 50 have just quietly accepted as their new normal? Most people blame it on age, or poor sleep in general, or they just reach for a second cup of coffee and push through. But here's what's often actually happening underneath that fog. When your blood sugar dropped overnight and your body released stress hormones to compensate, those hormones don't necessarily disappear the moment you open your eyes. Your cortisol can still be slightly elevated first thing in the morning. So essentially, your body's already in a mild stress state before your day has even officially started. That translates directly into brain fog, low motivation, and that heavy, dragging feeling that can take hours to shake off. Now flip the scenario. If your blood sugar stayed relatively level overnight, say thanks to a slow-releasing combo of protein and fat like peanut butter, your stress hormones stay calmer, your body gets to finish its repair cycles without interruption, and you wake up in a genuinely more rested state. Not superhuman, not perfect, just clearer, more present, more actually rested. Some research on overnight glucose stability and morning cognition in older adults suggests that how steady your blood sugar stays overnight might be an even stronger predictor of how mentally sharp you feel in the morning than total hours of sleep is. Which, if true, is honestly a bit of a mindset shift. It's not just about how many hours you clock. It's about the quality of what's happening biologically during those hours. And that small spoonful of peanut butter before bed is quietly, in the background, supporting that entire process. The mineral most people over 50 are missing. I want to go one layer deeper here, because peanut butter isn't just protein and fat. There's a mineral tucked inside it that a lot of people over 50 are running low on without realizing it, and it touches sleep, muscle function, heart rhythm, and stress levels all at once. That mineral is magnesium. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter has roughly 49 milligrams of magnesium in it. Not a trivial amount. Here's why that matters. Magnesium gets nicknamed the relaxation mineral for good reason. It helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system responsible for calming things down, slowing your heart rate, and getting your body ready for sleep. It also plays a role in regulating GABA, a brain chemical that quiets down neural activity and makes it easier to both fall asleep and stay asleep through the night. Some research reviews on magnesium have linked low magnesium levels to insomnia, nighttime muscle cramps, and generally poorer sleep quality in older adults. And the broader picture isn't great either. A significant chunk of adults simply don't get enough magnesium from their day-to-day diet. Full stop. Now stack that on top of the healthy monounsaturated fats in peanut butter, the same category of fat found in olive oil and avocado. These fats seem to help reduce low-grade overnight inflammation, and that kind of chronic. Low-level inflammation is one of the core reasons a lot of older adults wake up feeling stiff, sore, and mentally foggy. So when someone eats peanut butter before bed, they're not just snacking. They're potentially getting magnesium to calm the nervous system, healthy fat to quiet inflammation, and protein to help rebuild muscle, all while asleep. That's a lot of function packed into 2 tablespoons of a pantry staple. Quick one, if you're still with me, smash that like button, drop a comment on which of these points surprised you most, and subscribe so you catch the rest. Back to the video. But doesn't eating before bed cause weight gain? I know a chunk of you are sitting there thinking exactly that. Eating before bed causes weight gain. Everybody knows that, right? It's basically diet advice gospel at this point. I want to tackle this directly because the actual science is more nuanced than the blanket rule most people repeat. The idea that any food eaten before bed automatically leads to weight gain is an oversimplification. What actually drives weight gain is your total daily caloric intake and the type of food you're eating late at night, not simply the clock time on the wall. High sugar snacks right before bed? Sure, those can promote fat storage, mess with insulin, and interfere with your metabolism overnight. That part's fairly well established. But a small protein and fat snack like peanut butter is a different story. Some research on small nighttime protein snacks, in the neighborhood of 150 calories, has found that they didn't lead to fat gain in otherwise healthy adults, and in some cases even nudged resting metabolic rate up slightly the next morning. Here's a plausible mechanism for why, when you go to bed hungry and your blood sugar crashes overnight, your body can interpret that as a mild starvation signal. And the body's classic response to a starvation signal is to slow metabolism down and hold on to fat stores rather than burn them. When you instead give your body a small, steady fuel source, it's free to stay in repair and burn mode through the night instead of going into conservation mode. So, for people over 50 who are keeping an eye on their weight, a small amount of peanut butter before bed isn't automatically the enemy people assume it is. Done in the right portion, it might actually work in your favor rather than against it. Keyword there being small. I'll get to the exact amount shortly. Promise. What about your heart? Let's shift gears for a second and talk about your heart. Because for a lot of people watching this, heart health isn't some abstract wellness topic. It's personal. Maybe you've had a scare. Maybe someone close to you has. Maybe a doctor mentioned your cholesterol numbers or blood pressure at your last checkup, and it's been sitting in the back of your mind ever since. This part's for you. Peanut butter is rich in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, the same category of heart-supportive fats that nutrition researchers have pointed to for decades. These fats are generally associated with raising HDL, your good cholesterol, while helping lower LDL, the kind that tends to build up in artery walls over time. Long-term research on nut and nut butter consumption has generally linked regular intake to a lower risk of cardiovascular issues in older adults, including heart attack and stroke. Though as with most nutrition research, this tends to be observational rather than proof of direct cause and effect. Here's the nighttime specific angle though. Your blood pressure is supposed to naturally dip while you sleep. That's actually a healthy expected pattern. This nighttime dip matters for cardiovascular recovery. But in a lot of older adults, that dip doesn't happen the way it's supposed to. Doctors sometimes call this non-dipping, and it's associated with a higher overall cardiovascular risk profile. Some research suggests that keeping blood sugar and cortisol more stable overnight, which a low glycemic bedtime snack may help with, is linked to healthier overnight blood pressure patterns. So that small spoonful of peanut butter isn't just about sleep. It might be quietly supporting your cardiovascular system every single night too. All right, we're deep into this one if you're still here. That tells me you're actually paying attention. Like the video, comment your biggest takeaway so far, and subscribe. Let's get into the practical stuff now. 3 ways to pair peanut butter before bed. Peanut butter on its own is fine, but paired with the right food, it gets even more effective. Here are the 3 combinations that come up most often, and why each one works the way it does. Combination 1. Peanut butter plus banana. This is probably the most well-known pairing out there, and there's a decent reason for that. Bananas are loaded with potassium and magnesium, both of which support muscle relaxation and help cut down on nighttime cramping. They also carry a small amount of tryptophan along with natural sugars that give you a gentle, quick glucose bump, while the peanut butter slows that release way down. Together, they create a smooth, sustained energy curve that can carry you through the night instead of spiking and crashing. 1 medium banana with 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. Simple, effective, honestly pretty tasty too. Combination 2. Peanut butter plus whole grain toast. Whole grain toast adds complex carbs to the mix, the slow digesting kind that feed your gut bacteria, support serotonin production, and provide a steady trickle of glucose overnight. The fiber in whole grain bread also slows digestion down even further, which stretches out that satisfied feeling even longer. This combo tends to work especially well for people who regularly wake up hungry, or who work out consistently and need a little extra fuel on board for overnight muscle recovery. 1 slice of whole grain toast with 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. That's the whole recipe. Combination 3. Peanut butter plus apple slices. This is the one I'd point toward most often for people watching their weight. Apples are high in pectin, a soluble fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and supports overnight metabolic function. The natural sugar in apples gets nicely buffered by the fat and protein in peanut butter, so you're not looking at a blood sugar spike. It's also light and easy on the stomach, which matters when you're eating something close to bedtime. Half an apple with 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, light, satisfying, and a smart metabolic choice. All 3 of these work well. Pick whichever fits your lifestyle best, or just rotate through all 3 across the week so it doesn't get boring. Not all peanut butter is actually healthy peanut butter. Here's something that matters more than people give it credit for. Not all peanut butter is created equal, and picking the wrong jar can undo a lot of what we just talked about. A ton of popular grocery store brands are loaded with added sugar, corn syrup, dextrose, that kind of thing, plus hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. Those ingredients turn what should be a genuinely healthy food into something that can spike your blood sugar, ramp up inflammation, and actively work against everything we just covered. If you flip the jar over and see the words hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils on the ingredient list, just put it back on the shelf. Not worth it. The good news is real peanut butter is refreshingly simple. The best option out there has basically 2 ingredients, peanuts and maybe a little salt. That's the whole list. Yes, the oil separates and floats to the top. Yes, you have to stir it before every use. That's actually a good sign. It means you're eating something natural and unprocessed, instead of something engineered to sit shelf-stable forever. Look for labels that say natural, no added sugar, or no hydrogenated oils. And don't get fooled by flashy marketing on the front of the jar. Always flip it over and read the actual ingredient list. That's the only part that matters. If peanut butter's not your thing, almond butter is a solid alternative that offers pretty similar benefits, with a bit more magnesium per serving to boot. One more quick reminder before we wrap this up. Like, comment, and subscribe if this has been useful. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds, and it helps the channel a lot. Okay, final stretch. Who should skip this entirely? I want to be upfront here. Peanut butter before bed isn't the right move for everyone, and it's important I don't just gloss over that. If you have a peanut allergy, obviously skip this completely. Go with an alternative like almond butter or sunflower seed butter instead, and even then, check with your doctor if you're not sure it's safe for you. If you deal with acid reflux or GERD, High-fat foods late at night can potentially worsen symptoms by relaxing the lower esophageal sphincter, which lets stomach acid creep upward more easily. If that's you, start with a very small amount, or just check with your doctor before making this a habit. If you're managing type 2 diabetes with medication, bedtime snacks can shift your blood sugar timing in ways that actually matter for your treatment plan. Please talk to your doctor or care team before turning this into a nightly routine. This isn't something to just wing based on a YouTube video. And if you're in a strict calorie deficit for weight loss, even healthy calories at night, say 100 to 200, can add up and slow your progress if you're not tracking your totals. So if that's your situation, keep an eye on your overall daily numbers. For most healthy adults over 50, though, this habit is generally considered low risk and potentially genuinely useful. Just use common sense and loop in your doctor if you have any underlying condition. The exact amount and timing that actually matters. All right, let's get concrete, because vague advice is useless. How much should you actually eat and when? The general guidance is 1 to 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter, eaten roughly 30 to 60 minutes before bed. That lands you around 90 to 190 calories. Enough to support more stable blood sugar, give you a decent magnesium boost, and support better sleep quality, without leaving you feeling heavy or overly full. If you're pairing it with something like a banana, an apple, or a slice of toast, stick to 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. If you're eating it on its own, straight off the spoon, 2 tablespoons is about right. Timing matters here too. Don't eat it literally as you're climbing into bed. Give your body at least 30 minutes to actually start digesting before you lie flat. And honestly, the biggest factor of all is consistency, not perfection. Doing this 4 to 5 nights a week, consistently over the course of several weeks, is where you'd actually start to notice real changes: better sleep, fewer random middle-of-the-night wake-ups, and steadier energy levels when you get up in the morning. A bonus point nobody mentions: what else is happening in your evening routine before we wrap up? I want to add something that usually gets left out of these conversations entirely, and it matters just as much as the snack itself. Peanut butter isn't operating in a vacuum. What you're doing in the hour or two before you eat it either supports the whole process or quietly cancels it out. Think about caffeine, for starters. A lot of people over 50 still have a cup of coffee or tea in the late afternoon without thinking twice about it. Caffeine has a half-life of roughly 5 to 6 hours, meaning if you have a cup at 4 p.m., a meaningful amount of it is still circulating in your system at 10 p.m. That's working directly against the calming effect of magnesium and tryptophan we just spent all this time talking about. So if you're going to bother with a bedtime snack for sleep support, it makes sense to also look at when your last caffeine hit of the day actually is. Screens matter here too, and yes, I know you've heard this 100 times, but it's worth repeating because of how it connects to what we covered earlier. Blue light from your phone or TV suppresses melatonin production, the exact hormone we said needs tryptophan as a building block. So you could eat a perfect bedtime snack and still blunt its benefit by scrolling on your phone for 45 minutes right after. It's not that the snack doesn't work, it's that you're fighting it with one hand while helping it with the other. Room temperature is another overlooked piece. Your body temperature naturally drops as part of falling asleep, and a room that's too warm can interfere with that drop. Most sleep researchers point to somewhere in the range of 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit as a reasonable target for a lot of people, though obviously everyone's a little different. And one more thing worth mentioning: alcohol. A lot of people assume a nightcap helps them sleep, and in a sense it does help you fall asleep faster. But alcohol disrupts the second half of your sleep cycle pretty significantly, and it also messes with blood sugar regulation overnight in a way that works directly against everything peanut butter is supposedly helping with. If you're serious about testing out this habit, it's worth noticing whether alcohol earlier in the evening is quietly undoing your results. None of this means you need to overhaul your entire evening. But if you try the peanut butter thing for a couple of weeks and don't notice much difference, these are the first places I'd look before assuming it just doesn't work for you. One more thing. Tracking whether it's actually working here is a practical tip that a lot of people skip, and it's a shame because it's so simple. If you're going to try this for a few weeks, keep a basic sleep log. It doesn't need to be fancy. A notebook by your bed is enough. Each morning, jot down roughly what time you fell asleep, how many times you woke up during the night, and how you felt when you got up, groggy, clear-headed, stiff, energized, whatever comes to mind. Do this for a week before you start the peanut butter habit to get a baseline. Then keep doing it for a few weeks after you start. The reason this matters is that sleep improvements tend to be gradual and easy to miss if you're just going off memory. Most people don't accurately remember how they slept 2 weeks ago. They remember how they feel right now. A quick log removes the guesswork and gives you something concrete to look back on. If after 3 or 4 weeks, your log shows fewer wake-ups and less morning grogginess, you've got real evidence the habit is doing something for you. If nothing's changed, that's useful information too. It tells you it might be time to look at other factors, like the ones we just covered, or to talk to your doctor about what else might be going on. Small habit, small effort, but pairing it with a little bit of tracking turns this from a vague "I think I feel better" into something you can actually measure for yourself.